Who else is fed up of their mascara bleeding all over their face whilst they've been out in all weathers, their foundation transferring onto the hood of their coat as they're turning their head, their lipstick transferring onto their scarf? Or other people? Behave. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, I am one of those people that is completely sick of this happening, especially as we're getting into autumn and winter and the clothes are getting chunkier and they're getting further and further up towards my face. So we are going to be doing a full face of transfer resistant makeup today, and every single scrap of makeup that I'm going to be putting on my skin today is affordable. So suitable for all budgets. We are going to get straight on with it. If you're new here, hi, my name's Gemma. I'm 44 years old. I have skin that cannot make up its mind whether it wants to be dry one day, oily the next, hormonal, spotty, you name it. I am dealing with it. Bit greedy like that, but you know, we all want it all. I would absolutely love it. If some point in this video you are finding it helpful, we are a friendly bunch. Please consider clicking on the like button, the subscribe button, and the notification bell. So firstly, I'm going to take my WB Co soap brows. This is the extra strong version. The original version is great, but I just find this has extra long hold and makes my brows not budge even in the wind and rain. If you're wanting something that is even more affordable, just pick yourself up some translucent soap. Pears soap is absolutely fantastic. I'm not sure if you can get that worldwide, but all you need to do is dampen it off a little bit. Then take a spoolie. This is my Anastasia Beverly Hills 7B spoolie. It's got a little brush on the end as well. And just get that through your brows. And no, it doesn't lather up throughout the day or go into your eyes and sting, or at least it doesn't for me. I mean, as soon as it's hardened, it's stuck where it is and my brows just do not move at all. Even though I'm going to be using transfer resistant makeup today, and this is the NYX microbrow pencil in the shade Ash Brown, it's got a really nice tip to this. You can create a really fine line, but it's also quite a sturdy product. It's not a really creamy, soft product. So you get those really fine baby strokes if you want them, but it also doesn't bleed and smudge all over the place throughout the day, which is why I absolutely love it. So even though I am going to be using some transfer resistant makeup today, I'm also going to be using some techniques and applying the products in a specific order to get the most out of them and make them the most transfer resistant that they can possibly be. So if you don't have any of these products to hand at home, if you are on a no-buy and you don't want to try these ones out, you should have more success with the products that you already have using some of the techniques that I'm going to be using in this video. So if your skin is anything like mine, using transfer resistant makeup can be problematic because, like I've said, my skin can be dry one minute, oily the next, and I need to prep my skin in order for this transfer resistant makeup not to strip my skin of anything that my skin actually needs. So starting off with my lips, just to make sure that my lips don't dry out with the transfer resistant lipstick. It shouldn't, but I'm going to take precautions anyway. This is the Tripeptide Plumping Lip Balm from the INQUIRIES list, and I've spoken about this several times on my channel already. This is great stuff and super affordable. I need to do the same with my skin though, because I don't want any of this transfer resistant makeup, which tends to be quite high in drying alcohols, to dry out my skin at all. So I'm going to prep it first off with my Revolution Super Based Vitamin Base Primer. This is supposed to be a dupe for the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Base. I have a video filling you in on all the details of whether it is or isn't a dupe. I'll link that up here for you, but I'm just going to take a tiny bit of this, massage it between my fingers, and just dot it on my skin. Did a bit of dermaplaning earlier on, so I have a few red patches on my skin. But my skin feels amazing, which it always does after dermaplaning. But I'm not stopping there. I'm going to be using a primer, especially over the areas that transfer the most. So cheek area, jawline. Also on my forehead, if I am going to be wearing a hat, then a primer is a must. So this is the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. I also have the Niacinamide Power Grip Primer from e.l.f. as well, but I think I allowed B to use that a couple of weeks ago and I've never seen it again. So just going to pop a little bit on my finger, and you need very little of this stuff. It's super, super sticky and grippy, as the name would suggest. So I'm just going to pop a little bit where I think I need it, and then I'm going to rub that in. Trying not to drag the skin too much, but this does need to be distributed quite thinly. When I was first working on the concept of this video, I knew exactly which foundation I was going to use. There was just no other one that comes close to this. You either like this or you loathe it, so I'm wondering which camp you fall into. This is the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear. This is the 32-hour foundation. Who has tested this to 32 hours? I will never know. I've gone for the shade 20, which is Ivory. So I'm going to take my Refa 35 brush and first of all just start patting that in between my brows and then around my brows. I absolutely love this foundation. It definitely fits a purpose. It's really loose. So it's creamy, but it's a very loose, creamy consistency. It does run down the back of the hand really nicely, but also you can shear this out by applying this with a sponge. Or you can build this up if you need extra coverage, and I really do love a versatile foundation. I'm going to pop a little bit on my eyelids as well to even all that pigmentation out on my eyelids, and then move on to a larger brush. Before I move on to the foundation on the rest of my face, I'm just going to dot a little bit of my Ultra Cream Bronzer from Revolution around the perimeter of my face where I just want to contour a little bit, just so that we can get a little bit of definition. I don't want to be applying a powder bronzer or a bronzer in general over my foundation, which is transfer proof, so you sort of ruin it a little bit if you do it in that order. So I'm going to pop all the products that aren't necessarily transfer resistant underneath the transfer resistant locked down foundation, and then hopefully we won't get any transferring. I haven't had transferring of this in the past when I've done it in this order. Does look a little scary doing it this way, but trust the process. It will all turn out absolutely beautifully, and with the stamping motion of applying the foundation over the top, it just blends beautifully and you get more of an airbrushed finish. I absolutely love the finish of this foundation. It's so flattering and natural, and yet you get a pow of coverage if coverage is required, but I just don't feel the need to build this up any more than it already is. There's just one layer of this foundation and I just think it's perfection. Before we move on to under eyes, I just want to pop a little bit of my NYX Epic Wear liner stick in the shade All Time Olive, which is my favorite shade that they do. It is so flattering. It's so flattering, and it's super, super autumnal. So I'm just going to wing that out a little bit, just on that outer corner, and then take a little brush and smudge it out just a tad, just to make it look a bit messy, a little bit more on the smoky side. These are so easy to use. You get a little bit of play with these, so you don't have to move super quickly, but once they've set down after around about 30 seconds to a minute, they are going nowhere. Absolutely nowhere. Moving on to concealer, I'm going for the Liquid Camouflage High Coverage Concealer from Catrice. This is super, super affordable. It's also transfer resistant and it's waterproof. So I'm just going to pop a bit on the back of my hand. I say a bit, that's a lot. I have the shade 020 Light Beige, but I also have the shade 010 in Porcelain, and I do like to mix these two shades together to create my perfect shade, because one is slightly too dark, one is slightly too fair. So we're going to mix the two together. I'm just going to pop a little bit underneath my eyes and then push that in with my finger. I always think that pushing it in really helps the longevity of the product. Regardless of what concealer I'm using, I like to push it into the skin. Just building that up on the areas of darkness. I really like the consistency of this. It's not thick, it's not sticky, it's quite a loose consistency, and it smells really nice as well. It's got a bit of a rose scent to it. Whether that will be a hindrance to some of you who have sensitive eyes, I'm not quite sure. You'll have to be the judge of that, but I think it smells really, really beautiful. And it sinks into the skin really nicely, and it's got a kick of coverage. I wouldn't say this is super high coverage, but it's definitely enough coverage, and it's very easy to build. To set my under eyes, I'm using the Essence Brighten Up Banana Powder. I'm going to go in with a powder puff because I just think that is the best way of getting the best finish underneath the eyes. This is the Tati Beauty Blenderful. It's no longer available. It has been discontinued, so I'm sure any old powder puff would do, but you know, I do like this one. I wish she'd come out with another. I know there are lawsuits looming. I'm not quite sure whether it's for the Blenderful or whatever it is. Then I need to set the rest of my face, so I'm using the Collection Vitamin Fix Blurring Setting Powder. This is a really nice setting powder. I've not been the biggest fan of Collection over the years. A lot of the time, it's burnt my skin, I'm not gonna lie. So I was a bit hesitant to try this out, but try it, I did, and really, really enjoyed it. So we're gonna use this today. I've poured way too much in the lid, so we're just gonna knock off a little bit of this excess. Probably looks like smoke is filling the air. And then, oh my goodness, there's a lot on this brush. I'm gonna dust that all over my skin. And then, in the areas where I know are going to get a lot of welly throughout the day, so where my glasses sit, I'm going to once again pick up my powder puff, get a lot of this powder in the powder puff, and then really get it into the powder puff, really massage it in there so it's embedded within the puffiness of the puff, and then press that into the areas that are my problem areas. So around my jawline that's going to be hitting my coat. Need to get a lot of it in there. And really stamp it in. There shouldn't be any left on the surface of the skin. If there is, we'll brush that away afterwards. I'm just stamping in to my problem areas, or anywhere where I get overly shiny throughout the day. So once we're done with that, reach for the blush. Now this isn't really a transfer resistant blush. However, it's gorgeous. I want to use it. I will make it transfer resistant with a setting spray after this has been applied. Look how beautiful this is. Pop a little bit of that on the brush. And then just dab that on. Have you seen the shade of this? It does have a slight sparkle in there. Is sparkle the right word? Radiance. Let's call it radiance, because I think sparkle makes it sound very teenager-ish, very adolescent, and this is a very grown-up, very flattering blush. I have once again applied too much. So once this is on, to set this further in place and make it a little bit more transfer resistant and also really buff it into the skin, I'm going to take the same brush that I used for the powder, which, considering the amount of powder I had on this brush, still has plenty in there. And I'm just going to take that and buff this into the skin. Oh, it's just so lovely. Really, really lovely. Love that colour. I think it is just singing at me. And because of that, I'm putting more on. Stop it, Gemma. Put the brush down. Moving on to setting spray. If you're wanting your makeup to be bulletproof, then setting spray is key. This one is fantastic. It's from Milani and it's the Make It Last setting spray. There are two different versions of this. The original one, which is slightly more luminous. This one is the mattifying one. So not only will this mattify your makeup, but it will also help with shine control throughout the day. So that's definitely something I'm suffering with at the moment. So this is the one that I've reached for. It has a really high-end mist on this. This is not a spray. It is definitely a mist and it feels so beautiful. So a few spritz of this all over the skin, concentrating as well on that jawline and the cheeks, which are going to hit items of clothing. A bit of pretentious wafting goes a long way. Oh, this stuff never lets me down and it is super affordable. I would reach for this over a lot of other setting sprays that I have in my drawer that are high-end, luxurious setting sprays. This works. For those of you who are super sensitive to high levels of drying alcohol like denatured alcohol, this has quite a lot of it within the formula. It's very high up the INQUIRIES list. I myself am really sensitive to high levels of drying alcohol, so I don't use this every single day. I use this on those special occasions where I know I need my makeup to last from morning through to night. Most people, this will not bother in the slightest. However, if you are sensitive to those drying alcohols, you either want to give this one a miss or use it infrequently. Just going to curl my lashes. I always like to use my mascara after setting spray because sometimes I think that the setting spray can hinder the longevity of your mascara and I definitely don't want that. So the mascara that I'm going to be using today is the L'Oreal Lash Paradise Waterproof. I am a huge fan of the original Lash Paradise mascara and even more of a fan of the Lash Paradise Waterproof because who wants to be looking in the mirror every single hour to check whether their mascara has bled and smudged all over the place? Not me. If you're wondering how close this is to the original Lash Paradise formula, I would say this is a little bit of a looser, more liquidy consistency rather than the creamy consistency from the original, but it does a very similar job. It doesn't coat the lashes in the same way, as in it's not as hydrating and creamy and as voluminous, but it gives you the most fluttery separated lashes, which actually makes you look like you have more lashes than you have, in my opinion, so I love it. I'm just lining my lips quickly with the Line Loud lip pencil from NYX in the shade Born to Hustle. I do like to always line my lips to add a bit of definition back where definition has faded as I've got older. So I just think my lipstick looks way more polished with it than without it. And even if I'm not wearing a lipstick, lip liner for me just gives me back a little bit of plumpness to my lips and a bit of shape. So I am going to be filling that in, however, with the brand new L'Oreal Matte Resistance Liquid Lip. This is just completely transfer proof, even with eating and drinking. I've got the shade 115, which is Snooze Your Armor. I've also picked up the shade 100, which is Fairy Tale Ending, which I think will be a little bit too light for me. It's lighter than my usual lip shade, so I think it would wash me out a bit. So I've decided to go for 115. These are seriously pigmented. One swipe of this and the lips are filled. It also has a very nice applicator which can be very precise. So if you want one for lip lining products, you can actually get a really nice crisp clean line around the perimeter of the lips with this. And I've not found that this has bled without a lip liner. So please remember, I do have the lip balm underneath this liquid lipstick, and often when you're putting a non-transfer lipstick over the top of a lip balm, it does hinder the non-transferability, if that even is a word, but we're gonna try it anyway. Put a lot of pressure on there. There is the tiniest bit of transfer on the tissue, but it's very slight. And again, that may be because I got a lip balm on underneath this. There is nothing on my fingers at all. It also feels really comfortable. There is a slight bit of squeakiness on the lip. This doesn't feel like a hydrating, nourishing, creamy lipstick. It was never going to do that. However, I can tell you from my all-day wear test from this yesterday, it lasts from morning through to night. And I ate, I drank, kissed my husband. Nothing happened. It was just fantastic. I don't think this is the most hydrating lipstick on the planet. It does have hyaluronic acid in there, but I don't think that helps at all. You can put a hydrating balm over the top of this or under it like I've done today, but it will hinder the longevity slightly. So you could finish this look off with an extra blast of setting spray for good measure, or a little bit of extra powder if your skin is slightly oilier than mine. I don't feel the need. This makeup look is going nowhere from morning till night. So let me know your thoughts on the look I've created today. I really love it, and all of the products are super affordable. If you've tried any of these out, you love them, you really don't like them, please pass on your thoughts to the rest of the pack in the comments section. I'd love to hear what you thought of them. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and hope to see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.